Day and welcome to Dreams, Desire, and Discourse, our channel where we talk about psychoanalysis and related topics with experts in this domain. Now I would like to present you Sergio Benvenuto. Sergio Benvenuto is an Italian psychoanalyst, philosopher, and author of many books. He is a researcher for the Institute of Cognitive Sciences and Technologies of the Italian National Research Council in Rome. He is Professor Emeritus in Psychoanalysis at the International Institute of Depth Psychology in Kyiv. He has founded and edited the European Journal of Psychoanalysis, and he is the author of a book which is dedicated to perversions. And today we would like to talk about the perversions. So, Sergio, how do we define perversion nowadays? It seems to me that perversion carries not only medical but a political dimension. What is the psychoanalytic viewpoint on it?
If by a political you mean ethical and legal sense, I agree. In sense that perversions is now considered sort of insult, because perverted are considered not only sexual perverse, but any kind of evil people. No, in a certain sense, perversion in many languages. I don't know in Russian, but it means an evil person, ambiguous evil person. And for this reason, for a sort of political correctness, the latest edition of DSM, the Diagnostical and Statistical Manual, American Manual of Psychiatry, which is a sort of now of Esperanto in Western psychiatry, has changed the name into paraphilias, which is Greek, and it's less derogative. You are right. It's a big mess because the concept of sexual perversion is so linked to customs, to lifestyles, to the custom laws. Now, today, nobody knows exactly what is perversion. Some classical perversions. The term perversion was invented by essentially German, Austrian psychiatry and English psychiatry at the end of the 19th century, and it included something like homosexuality, for example, or gerontophilia. Of course, it's now a crime to tell that homosexuality is a perversion, because it's completely, accepted as an absolute normal, between quotes, way to express one's sexuality. But other perversions which were minor or not very important at that time, like pedophilia, is now become the worst of the worst, not only of a perversion but of a crime. And you know that there was also in certain countries a sort of hunt of the imaginary pedophiles. What links the different classical perversions, even according to the DSM manual, of paraphilia? What links all these kind of having sex as perverted? Nobody knows, essentially. I tried in my book to show that maybe there is a secret hidden consistency, that even if a psychiatrist and psychoanalyst don't know what it means, but they have a sort of unconscious basic idea what it is. And I tried to describe this basic assumption, this hidden assumption, as the idea that the pervert's sexual act is heterodystonic, in the sense that it's a sexual act that the partner, man or woman, doesn't agree completely with this. It's not something that you do for the enjoyment of the other, but essentially only for your own enjoyment. The other has to be at the maximum accomplice of your accomplice, but not a real partner. And it is strange because, if we have time to talk about the Lacanian view on perversions, the Lacan's perspective seems the inversion of this, because according to Lacan, perversion is a way to make enjoy the big other. The difference is all there between small other and the big other. When I say partners of perverts, I mean small others. For example, a woman to which an exhibitionist shows his penis, or the woman who is in a coitus and who is spied by the voyeur through keyhole. Okay. A keyhole, or for example, of course, in the case of sadism, the woman his victim, and but even in masochism, where the woman has to play an important role of a mistress. In Italy, we call mistress the prostitute who are specialized in masochistic clients, and there are many, many, many. The woman has to be cruel, severe, whipping, despising, no? But of course, a woman can play this role for a while, but not by a chance. Generally, they are prostitutes, and of course, a man doesn't go with a prostitute in order to give her pleasure. No, okay. It means that basically the pervert needs a woman, but his aim is not essentially to make enjoying the woman. But it's true that it means that in fact he's supporting the enjoyment not of the real woman there, but of the woman as big other. We could say of the mother, but it's not a real mother there. That in a certain sense, all his plays, because perversion are generally plays, mise en scène, dramas and comedies. The woman as a big other has to enjoy on not only the woman, but sometimes the big other of the big others with God. In sadism, is quite clear that the sadist kills. I mean, like in serial sexual killers, the sadistic killer has to punish the woman because she wants sex. No, it's punishment, a divine punishment, and it's the enjoyment of the subject. As you understand, we can tell that the perversion is a strange way, it's a lot of ways to deal with the women. It's why perversion is considered basically masculine. But we have a lot of examples of homosexual perversions, not in the sense that homosexual are perverted, but in the sense that we can find perverted homosexuals, and they are not studied as the common heterosexual perverse, and it's why it's difficult to tell something. But in this case, we can tell that perversion is essentially a way to deal with the sexual partner.
Mm.
Um, and it's not a definition, but it's a constant line. Even if the ethical and legal response to this way of dealing with sex, with the sex of the other, is sometimes I mean, criminalized, and other times not at all. For example, some perversions are considered libertine games, like masochism. No, it's a sort of contract. No, or for example, fetishes. No, it's not a matter of crime. But others, like pedophilia or sadism, no, they are severely punished. It's why the legal response to this kind of acts can be very variable, and it's why it's more difficult to understand if there's a thread, a sort of a red line, which can give to the concept of sexual perversion a sort of unity. And I tried. I don't know if I achieved, but anyway, I tried to give a consistency to this concept.
When we are reading Lacan, he speaks about perversion as a structure and explains it through Oedipus complex, through the rejection as the response to the law. And while reading your book, I have noticed that you are showing the cases of hysterical and obsessional subjects who have perversions, which are essentially neurotical structures. So, for you, is the perversion a structure or is it just a symptom or a combination of symptoms?
I'm not very faithful to the idea of structure in Lacanianism, in the sense that, it's interesting his attempt to give a sort of a oversimplified structure of three types of subjectivity. But, I think it's a little bit too rigid. In a certain sense, Lacan's theory is an attempt to find a structure in what we called, psychopathology, but it is not considered anymore psychopathology. In a certain sense, psychiatry does not exist anymore, because it's a fiction. When Lacan talks about structures, he doesn't mean mentally disordered person. He means anybody. Anybody enters into these three structure. It means that it's a very general simplification of the human subjectivity, which is based on three types of negation, according to Lacan. The structure, it's linked to a way to negate something. In neurosis, the negation is repression, Verdrängung, which would be translated better as displacement. Displacement, it's a Verdrängung, and it's the typical for the unconscious of the forgotten or neglected memories. There's a perversion, a perverted negation, Verleugnung, Disavowal in English, whose paradigm is the disavowal of the fetishist, the child who will become fetishist, who discovers the lack of a penis in the girls, but he denies, he disavows this, and he can enjoy of women only if women have a sort of phallus, no? And it's essentially Verleugnung. And Lacan invented, elaborated a third kind of negation, which called Verwerfung, foreclosure in English, but foreclosure is not exactly what is the foreclusion in French. Anyway, which is a sort of a lack of access to a sort of a central signifier, and it's the origin of psychosis. No, but of course, in our practice, we meet a sort, a lot of combinations, no, where it's very hard to decide at the hand what's the structure and what's the syndrome. Yeah, sure, you can guess. In certain cases, it's very simple, no, but in other cases, in many cases, you don't know how to diagnose, and it's why you you need maybe 1 year of analysis in order to discover the real diagnosis, according, of course, to one's scheme of structure. And we meet not a pure perverse, because, as you said, the real perverse, the complete perverse, doesn't want to change, and it doesn't want at all analysis or therapy. Why? Because it's just his way of enjoying. No, nobody wants to renounce to his way to enjoy. And perversion, it's not ego-dystonic, but, as I said, heterodystonic. It's something which makes trouble because of the other, no? The other sues you, despises you. It's impossible to find a woman who can be complice of your pleasure, often the pure perverse come to our analysis because essentially they say, I'm glad to enjoy in this way, but women don't want to enjoy, or maybe they are afraid of legal persecution, of denunciation. It's why essentially we deal with the perverse who have other syndromes, who are neurotic or even in certain cases psychotic, because psychotics and the neurotics, they really cannot enjoy, or they suffer terribly. I would say that the neurotic person complains that he or she cannot enjoy, and the psychotic person comes because he or she suffers too much. But the perverse, by definition, enjoys sex in his own way. It's why, in a certain sense, I cannot answer very clearly to your question, because for me, Lacanian system, it's a very sharp way to deal with these kinds of subjectivity, but it's not the final word. The problems are still open, completely open.
So there is no finalized outlook on perversion as a structure, yes?
No, but there is a perverse structure. What I don't know if all human beings can be classified in these three structures. You deal pure neurotic, pure psychotic, pure perverse, but you meet a lot of persons where, I mean, the structure is absolutely uncertain and complex. If you believe that, you know, each subject has a real structure, and anyway, the point is that the concept of structure doesn't imply, as many believe, that it's impossible to change. You are bored with this structure, and it will be yours forever, because the structure is something which can change. I mean, in the chess game, no, at certain point of the game, the play is has a certain structure, but if you move a piece, the structure changes. The structure is a possibility of movements and of changes. It's not something which is there, fixed, you know. And it's why, you know, I would say that Lacanian structure are interesting if you understand that it's possibilities of movements, and of course this movement can imply neurotic symptoms, even psychotic moments, you know. The point is through all these changes and movement to understand a sort of structure which in a certain way compasses all these changes. But you know, in this sense, is rather Lacan when he says not two human beings, even twins, have the same conscious. Each human being is different from the other. No? Like our iris in the eye, or our fingers. I mean, I don't remember now in English.
Fingerprint.
Fingerprints. Okay, it's in a certain way. It's the same with unconscious. You know, it's mental print. But you know, if you are able, you can understand that subject move according to certain possibilities. Okay, it's the challenge to distinguish syndromes and structures. For other psychoanalytic schools, where what matters it's mental processes like the Kleinians or Winnicottians, you know, if the important thing it's the process, structure is not at all important, and even diagnosis is not essential, because it's a question of levels, you know, of layers, you know, in theory, which is essentially a theory of the processes. Structure doesn't mean almost anything.
So, to draw the conclusion here, we don't need to be in a stereotype that perversion is something purely masculine, as by Freud, fetishists are always men. So, taking into account.
Yeah, you know, it's also another matter of historical change, because our impression is that more and more we have an egalitarianism between men and women. More and more there's an emancipation of women, in the sense that they become more and more masculinized, because of the emancipation. It's this, you know, for women is an important social power like men. Okay, and more and more we realize that, you know, certain behaviors or even some addictions which were typical of men are step by step becoming spread also among women. You know, for example, tabagism, the addiction of tobacco, or even drugs. You know, in the past they were essentially masculine. Now they are becoming more and more feminine. It means that even pathology, between quotes, is which was essentially masculine, like a perversion. We started to understand also, I mean, to find, but it's very hard to tell because the notion itself of a perversion is so based on masculine sexuality that we have trouble to apply perversion to women. For example, I have an analysand, a girl, I mean a woman who likes a lot of sex and essentially to be humiliated by the man, urinated by the man, even in her vagina, in her mouth. And it's a game, and generally men agree to this game. The difference between perversion and the libertinism. I mean, the erotic games is more and more uncertain because if your partner is consentant, in a certain sense, perversion falls. The idea of a perversion is absolutely hanging to the supposition, to the premise that the other, generally the woman, disagrees with your wish. No, but if your woman enjoys to be humiliated and sometimes also not raped, but as if you for example, bound to the bed and raped as a play, is it feminine perversion or not? It's not that we can give an answer. I can say that our category are in crisis. The right answer to your question is that we don't know anymore exactly what perversion does mean, because even the change of customs, essentially the change of feminine sexual behavior is absolutely transforming. And another thing, it's interesting. Hysteria was considered essentially feminine, even if theoretically Freud and Charcot thought that it was possible a masculine hysteria, but as a matter of fact, all his cases are women. No. Now we can start to find hysterical men. I mean, men who identify deeply to the woman, and for this reason, they don't understand what it does mean to be a woman, even if they have a penis. We're more and more examples of this change. And hysteria is cancelled by modern psychiatry. It's considered an outdated concept. But in psychoanalysis, we use the concept of hysteria, and more we can tell that some men are hysterics. I can give some example, but it's not the case to give examples. Why? Because the sexual identifications are changing, and it's why even the disorders, as today are called pathologies, disorders, change according to this change of identification. It's why I think that the best answer is to say we don't know.
But anyway, Are there any ethical differences while working with the subjects with perversions? Let me use also like this political correct language. So, what is the ethics of desire for perverts? Because you have mentioned that is to negate the subjectivity of the other and to enjoy.
No. I didn't tell to the subjectivity of the other. Not at all. On the contrary, it's essential. It's the stereotype to say that perverse negate the subjectivity of the other, and he treats the woman as an object. On the contrary, even the sadist who tortures, the woman, no, the sadist needs the sufferance of the woman. It's important to not that the woman just dies, but the important is the sufferance of the other. As in other cases, it's the supposed subjectivity of the other. It's essential. The point that in perversion, that the subjectivity of the other is exploited for his own enjoyment. It's different, which is in a certain sense true for all kinds of sex. No, even in the most normal, innocent sex. Of course, we say it's important also to give enjoyment to the other. No, if you even prostitutes, when they go with the clients, they pretend to enjoy sex. No, why? Because the woman who enjoys sex is part of the male's excitement. But in perversion is a more it's a more refined, because it's not the enjoyment of the other, the woman, but the enjoyment of the supposed other.
The
For
big other.
example, huh?
The big other.
Yes, it's something maybe in the middle. For example, an exhibitionist, no, who displays his penis to a woman in the street. No, why he does it? He says that he enjoys the facts that he can show to the woman something that she wants. She wants to satisfy the woman, no, in a certain sense. But it's true, because of course often the women are scared. But if a woman plays the game and tells them, yeah, okay, good to have sex together, the exhibition flies away, terrified, because he doesn't have any more the mastery of the game. But the presupposition is that his exhibitionism makes the other enjoying. In voyeurism, it's a little bit, more complex, because he spies the woman who is in the intercourse, and he recognizes the enjoyment of the woman, who doesn't know to be spied, but sometimes the voyeur, comes out, and he denounces his princess. It arrives. No, it's a sort of a denunciation of the woman. You don't know that while you are enjoying, you are seen. It's always something linked to enjoyment of the other. For the voyeur, it's essential that the woman enjoys intercourse, but she doesn't know that another is enjoying this view. It's always this. Even in masochism, of course, even if the mistress is a prostitute, but he has to think to imagine that the woman is really furious against him. It's why the subjectivity of the woman is always cold, but it's not. It's always an enjoyment of some other than the other woman. I don't know if I'm clear. No, but,
Yes, so to move further, my question would be about the ethics of psychoanalytical work with the subjects with perversion. So, are there any different rules, or is there more pressure by the subjects towards the psychoanalyst? Because something tells me that the work with the perverts challenges your own ethical questions, that because that is what the perverts are doing. They are challenging the ethical order. They're trying to show how it's not working completely as intended. So through your experience, what can you tell about the work with perverts? Is it really more challenging or not? And is it tough to remain neutral towards them?
But maybe we don't agree what's are perverse, because the challenge of the social order of the law, is not something which is typical of the perverse, except of course the big sadists, the serial killers of women, but they don't challenge the social order at all. First, it's limited to sex generally, no, and as a person, they can be very nice persons. I mean, very sometimes even believers in God, even religious. If we are talking about sexual perversions, they are not dangerous, and I deal with them as with any other patients. Um, what I mean, maybe the confusion is with the sociopaths and the psychopaths, persons who commit terrible crimes, who or criminals, But in this case, it's not a matter of if we mean by perversion what classically in classical psychiatry was called perversions, and today paraphilias. It's just with sex, no, and generally the analyst doesn't deal sexually with his patients. It's not anyway my case. It's different. It's a real problem with patients who are criminals. For example, I had some analysons patients with had the convictions. They were in jail, and with these persons is very difficult, in fact, and they often abandon, or, for example, very simply, they don't pay you. They say I will pay tomorrow, but in fact they don't pay. You become easily victim of this person, who escape. Persons who have a past of criminality, of even not convicted, but who lived at the fringe between the legality and the illegality. With them, analysis is rarely difficult, because analysis implies a sort of a basic honesty. I know that many like Kernberg and others specialized on this kind of analysis. But it's not my case. With perverts, first because, as I said, never meet a pure pervert, but a person who is not happy with his perversion or who has other problems. Sometimes, a perversion is a part of a larger syndrome, which I don't know. We don't have the word. Generally, they are called narcissistic personalities. I don't trust narcissism because narcissism is one of the most confused and mixed concept in Freudism. It means everything and nothing. But they are called narcissistic personalities in the sense that, basically they cannot have a normal social contact with the person. So, they are strange, weird persons. And often they are also perverts. No, okay, but with the perverts, you have to deal always with the repentant pervert. It's a different case. Some of my colleagues deal with pedophiles, but there it's a special setting because in this case, psychotherapy is imposed by the justice, by the court, and I doubt that, sincerely speaking, that these analyses are real analysis, because if a subject is is uh, is compulsive, not compulsive, but he's obliged to have a therapy. I don't think that it's a really serious. But I am impressed by the facts that in this case, even the analyst falls in the moral general scheme that pedophiles are monsters, and I think that essentially their work consists in pushing the pedophile to recognize that his sexuality is bad. No, you have to recognize your crime. No, and of course, it's a sort of a fight at the last blood, because the pedophile generally thinks that he's a humanitarian. He loves children. He likes children. He doesn't have any aggressivity towards them. They talk about sexual orientation. They identify to homosexuals, and they think that in the future their love will be recognized by the institutions. And when the analyst tries to push them to confess, you are a criminal, okay, it's not analysis. It's a moral challenge. Um, it's like in what's the word? Wrestling. An analytic wrestling. It's why generally this report of the case is very interesting, because I think pedophilia wasn't really studied seriously, because it's too much diabolized. It's too much evil, and very few analysts or just researchers have a cold attitude towards moralism. Always comes up from their text, and I think that we are to start analysis of pedophilia from zero.
And to wrap up our interview, I'd like to turn more into philosophical topic, as you have stated in the beginning. I was reading Slavoj Žižek's text about perversion in politics, and I cannot help but notice how he blends the concepts of perversion and psychosis in regards to their opinion towards law. And you have mentioned that while speaking about perversion, we speak mostly about sexual perversions, not about sociopathy, psychopathy, and so on. And also, we know from the classical texts that the obsessional neurotics, they also have a very complicated relationship with the law. So, what is your opinion towards trying to find out something perverted in politics or psychotic in politics? It's like, as you have mentioned, that sometimes we use the word perverted towards every evil person we know throughout the history, and I believe anyone can pick their favorite bad guy in history and tell they were bad because they were perverted or something like that. So, isn't it a symptom in psychoanalytical discourse, in psychoanalytical communities, to try to diagnose public figures, historical figures throughout these terms, while essentially being just a matter of a moral judgment towards someone's actions or someone's attitude and so on? So, maybe a little bit complicated, but what is your opinion towards applying perversion towards politics?
Okay, first I have to say that, I don't know this comparison by Zizek with the perversion and the psychosis, or maybe I don't remember. But second, I have a great admiration of Zizek as a writer and thinker, but, I don't share at all his views on politics. I'm not a Marxist, and I know that now this trend, which I would call Freudo-Lacano-Marxist, is very, is very strong, fashionable. I would say cool, but I don't jump into this train with all respect for Marxists. But it's not my faith. According to what you say, it seems that Zizek is using pervert and psychotic as insults, as in everyday life. You are a pervert, you are not. It's a sort of insult. Frankly speaking, I don't think that you can use these terms to understand politics, even if certainly we can use masse psychologie and ish-analyse, group analysis, and analysis of the ego by Freud in order to understand better politics. And it is not at all a Marxist view, the view of Freud. Not at all. I'm just publishing a book on this topic, Freudian Politics, where I try to show this, a Freudian view, even if you enlarge it, doesn't bring at all to Marxist or anarchistic conclusions. But anyway, you were talking about law. The law in perversion is the facts that I, the pervert, use the letter of the law in order to enjoy. The law tells never show your penis to a woman in public. No, and I'll do, and I enjoy this just because of the law forbids me. I mean. A great description of the perversion is this movie by Fincher, Seven. It's a film of 20 years ago about a serial murder, and at the end we discover that his murders were application of the seven deadly scenes. In a certain sense, these sadistic, cruel, perverse, in this case, thinks of himself as the end of God. It means that law, the letter of law, don't do this or punish the sinners. He's taken literally. It's the relationship of the perverted with the law. In psychosis is completely different. When we talk in psychoanalysis about psychosis, we generally talk about paranoia because, as a matter of fact, a psychoanalytic theory of schizophrenia does not exist. It's very weak. Generally, psychoanalysis is able to understand and to describe, even in a very refined ways, all kinds of paranoia. But the schizophrenic confusion is something which out of the reach. Melancholia, yes, sure. There's a strong theory of melancholia, but it wasn't developed as one could hope. And yeah, okay. It means that when I talk about psychosis, it's about paranoia. Even the third seminar by Lacan on psychosis is essentially a seminar on paranoia, and especially on the case of President Schreiber. I would say that in paranoia, the big other, who can be the persecutor, is an outlaw. I mean, the disruption of the law is enacted by the big other, in certain case also by God. If you remember, Schreiber was a jurist, denounced God because he disrupted the order of the world. And he said, when God wants that I will be a woman, he transforms me in a woman. It's contrary to the order of the world. It means that the real actor of this destruction of the law is the big other, not myself. For example, I had a patient, a psychotic, a paranoiac. Her mother was dead many years before, but she didn't ever believe in her death, and she thought that her mother was somewhere alive, hidden, and she controlled completely her life through computers. And it was a sort of a double rupture, destruction, of the order, the separation between life and death, and the separation about myself and the other. In paranoia, this essential order, alive, dead, myself, the other, is completely disturbed. But and it's why it's so hard for the psychotic to live, because he has to live in this sort of world which is completely controlled by the big other, who imposes his or her own thoughts on the subject. It means that the relationship of the pervert and of the paranoiac to the law is very different. In the case of psychosis, it's not the letter of the law, but it's something deeper. It's a sort of essential separation between me and the real. This essential separation, which is maybe something which happens very early in our life, in our childhood, the facts that we have to distinguish an interior and an exterior. It's something which is from the beginning not at all accomplished. No, it's there a sort of a lack of basic separation and the division between me and the real, and it's why me and the real are confused, are the same thing. um, it means that I don't know if Zizek said that somebody, that in politics you can be perverse or psychotic in reference to a law, means that both deal with the same kind of law. What you say that using qualifying our enemy, our antagonist, as not a pervert is the easiest and the more banal way to accuse the enemy, the antagonist, but it doesn't say anything. We are healthy, and no, and the antagonist is mad. He's evil, pervert. But it's not serious.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And I hope we can continue our discussion on different topics concerning other psychoanalytical conceptions. And thank you very much, our viewers. You can like, subscribe, and leave your commentaries, questions towards Sergio, and maybe we will discuss them the next time. Stay tuned to us. Bye bye.